Sousa Show continues with Cam Stewart. I just got a text message that says, "You have clothes in the dryer. I didn't take them out. I don't live with anybody, and my girlfriend's not in town."
That's not a good sign. It could be that crackhead coming back.
No, it's not. There's
Sadie.
There's a young woman who is moving into my old place, and would you be surprised that there's still a lot of my stuff there? So now basically she's on the payroll. And she's packing the remaining stuff up, which I'm going to pick up later on today and put in the back of my car.
Wait. So, are you subleasing the old place?
No, I'm out of there, but
some of your stuff is still there.
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm an idiot.
Oh, okay.
And
there's someone else living there, and your clothes are in the dryer.
Well, they're not there yet. They're not supposed to be living there yet. In all fairness to me, they're not supposed to start living there till the 15th. And I have not much left, but. I mean, she's a very cool person. So literally I was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you some money when you pack that stuff up." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll pack it up." So anyways.
I thought this was a wrong number thing. And it turns out there's a good explanation for it.
It couldn't be any more right.
Wow. This is a good story to get us started there.
Cam, last night, you and I both in attendance at the Baylor men's basketball game. And yeah, Baylor got a big win. And what's the number one piece of Locked On content you got out of the game?
In terms of quality that I thought was good, or what got
what did you get a lead story out of that?
I mean, V.J. was the lead story.
Wow.
V.J. Edgecombe. Yeah. So there's a couple different offshoots I could have done from it. I could have got real into the basketball thing and talked about all the different kind of defenses they ran in the first half. There's going to be a Rob Wright thing coming up that I just got to talk about Rob Wright. And Jade Nunn, it might be their best scorer this year. He's their best 3-point shooter now, and his offensive aggressiveness has changed. That was the other thing I asked Scott about, which I like. But VJ brought the house down 3 or 4 separate times last night. And for those who were skeptical about his slow start, right? Not a good first game against Gonzaga, not a good shooting night against Arkansas. He was awesome last night. I think it was 13 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Scott Drew in the postgame said, "I don't think we've ever had a freshman get a triple-double." And I literally said, "Not yet." I think that's well within his capabilities. And he's the best lob threat they've got on the team. He's a guard. Yeah. They threw 2 alley-oops to him, and his putback dunk was incredible, which did hit the Sports Center top 10.
Yeah.
But it was right in front of me. The place just lost its mind. It was a missed 3, and VJ's way in the air already, head above the rim, chin above the rim, and is reaching back, almost behind the backboard to get it and throw it back on a putback. You remember that Grant Hill dunk in the championship
against
game?
Kansas?
It's a different angle, and it's not the same, but the way he contorts his body is like that Grant Hill dunk, except it's bang, bang, ball coming off the back or coming off the rim. And he just dunks it, and it's just goes back, plays defense.
How much excitement?
Nothing happened.
How much excitement is there around him? Like in your Locked On Nation, if you put up a VJ Edgecombe story or podcast, or people commenting on it, is it crazy?
It should be more big time than it is. I don't think that's a knock on VJ. I think that's a knock on Baylor basketball fans. But that was the thumbnail was him last night.
Yeah.
And it was the next Russell Westbrook. Because that's what he's reminded me a lot of. Now, Fran has said Dwayne Wade a few times.
Yeah.
Which I can also see, but the explosiveness is just off the charts with this kid.
Scotty, you were there last night. He's like a tag team wrrestler dying to get into the ring here. He's marching back and forth.
It was my first time at Foster, man.
All right. So Scotty, your thoughts about VJ and the overall experience?
VJ's blew my mind. He's incredible. The experience at Foster is unreal. I'm mad now that I didn't make it up here. I was living in Houston last year. I didn't make it up for a game. The place was phenomenal.
Wait till you get a big time matchup there, Scotty.
Oh, I can't
just wait.
I really
Pete's
can't
seen it. It's
I really can't wait. But VJ, I don't think I have a comp. He is way more lengthy and big than Russell Westbrook, but I see the explosiveness, athleticism thing to it. Yeah, he's way more explosive than Dwayne Wade. All due respect to one of the GOATs, but like, I don't know who you comp him to. I made this comp, Cam. This is kind of a throwback. I said V.J. Edgecombe is what my generation of Baylor students thought Deuce Bello would be, but infinitely better. He's infinitely better.
That's an interesting comp. That is an interesting comp.
Deuce Bello came out of high school and at the time was one of the highest recruits
really
he ever had.
Yeah.
But all the hype around him was like, this dude can drive and dunk on anybody. Like, this dude is so athletic. And then he lost the dunk contest before the season to Pierre Jackson. And that should have been our cue. That he wasn't all we had hyped him up to be. But that putback, I'm kind of mad at how that putback. I don't think there's a good angle.
By the way, real quick, the headline on the story that pops up for 32-year-old Deuce Bello.
Oh, no.
YouTube sensation to forgotten gem.
Good for him.
Well, it says, no, I'm saying YouTube sensation to forgotten gem. So,
Yeah.
Scotty was like, "Is he have a channel going right now?"
I was like, he's a YouTube star. Good for him.
No.
We should have him on the show. But
no, I don't think there's
I get fascinated by those guys, by the
dude.
way. Like the big time high school females that don't even pan out in like college. Obviously, they're sad, right? It's usually sad stories, but like those stories just really fascinate me because it's like being a child star, dude. It's exactly the same thing. Like and it's more sudden. Usually.
There's some Reddit stuff here that I would rather not read aloud.
Okay, fine, don't.
But
sorry for bringing up ancient history for those that haven't followed Baylor basketball for more than 10 years. But
he played for Frank Haith at Mizzou. He transferred.
Yeah, he transferred from Baylor to Mizzou for playing time and didn't get playing time there either.
Yeah, and then Frank Haith left. Rough go for Deuce.
But Edgecombe, there's no comp. Like I don't know a guy. I can't think of one off the top of my head that's that lengthy, that skilled, and that explosive.
For me, it's somewhere between, and this is going to sound insane, and if he doesn't become a superstar, then we'll clip this. To me, it's somewhere between like a Russell Westbrook and a Giannis.
I'm also seeing Giannis.
Because of the length and the downhill.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing Victor Oladipo.
That makes sense. I think VJ's more explosive than Oladipo.
Oladipo was the top 3-4 pick.
He was number 2 pick. Yeah. Behind Anthony Bennett, I think. Oladipo felt a little bit more polished, if I'm remembering correctly, in terms of like he could shoot it a little bit and was playing more of a point guard style, which VJ's not going to be asked to do, although he had 7 assists, right? 10 rebounds, 7 assists. But yeah, that he is unstoppable when he gets ahead of steam. And obviously he's not going to get that a ton in the Big 12, but he's proven pretty capable even when he doesn't have a head of steam. Like you watch him in those games, man, he is a part of every play. And remember, no matter how he's shooting, he is a part of every play.
I like that he's part of all the hustle plays. Like he is constantly sticking his nose in it, going after loose balls. Like,
and that's one of the things that Coach Drew was saying last night in the post game when I was talking to him, and even before the game, he talked about, look, this guy's just a winner, and he does whatever is asked, and that kind of fits that. It reminds you, and he's got way more dog. It already seems like than Jacoby Walter. But
who had some dog? I mean,
but that type of guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like Jacoby came in here, 5-star, one of the best recruits in the country, and I mean, just right in to a part of things. And by no means was he like an alpha that was going to tell the veterans or older guys how things were going to go. He kind of got in line and did the right stuff, and I think VJ's doing the right stuff, and you saw how about that loose ball? We all saw it right near half court.
Yeah,
there were like 8 guys diving on the floor, on a Tuesday night game against Sam Houston, and VJ was one of them.
Yeah,
it's like, wow. And that all starts. I do truly believe in culture, right? And that's that Baylor culture. And even though the possession arrow went to Sam Houston, Scott Drew and the crowd really
was into it. Yeah,
a smarter basketball crowd than Cam gives credit for. Everyone applauded. Everybody
smart.
They appreciated the effort. It was like a hockey crowd in Montreal.
Oh well, that's a bunch of prissy wannabes. I don't want to compare them to that.
I like
that they're not wearing suits to the game.
one of you can correct me if I'm misremembering the play. There was a play, I think it was a foul. It was his second or third foul. And Scott immediately pulled him out.
Yeah, and had a moment with him.
And he looked like pissed at himself.
Yeah.
Like that, and I just think it's an attitude thing. Like there's so many, when you're that level, right? Number 3 overall recruit last year, it's easy anytime they call a foul on you to like argue with the ref or shrug up, but he is like beating himself up over every little detail.
Yeah.
To make himself great.
And by the way, I wanted to talk, Pete, because you mentioned like a leadership thing and kind of gelling with the guys. That's not been a problem at Baylor for a long time, right? Like I'm not saying that any of these other guards did not have that, but in the post game, I don't know if you watched the post game, Pete, but
I had my own post game show that I was doing.
That's right. Sorry.
I mean, I was overwhelmed at the
Whatever.
time. Go ahead. I'll tell you that story in a second.
So it was Jaden Nunn and V.J. up there at the podium, and they're like laughing with each other, giggling, and Jaden is giving all this praise to V.J. without being asked really about it. And I'm like, this is like, I know it's Sam Houston, it's November 12th, whatever, but like there's a respect there. And Jaden Nunn has started a lot of college basketball games, like nearing 100. And he's a dog. People listen to him. He's a senior. And here he is with this freshman who gets all kinds of hype. And you know how that can be of, this guy's going to come in here and run this team. Yeah, sure. And they're like simpatico, like that, like laughing with each other, giving each other compliments, saying how great each other are, or the great games that they had. Like there's something there. That's like I know you don't necessarily think respect when they're giggling, but
no, for sure.
Thing there.
Yeah. And I'll take it one further. One from a basketball perspective, this goes back to a question that I asked you and we were both talking about. You talked about Nunn, and I asked David Kay last night because, I haven't been around the program as long as you guys have. I said, his jump already, I said it was halftime, and I was like, and he's got like 7 threes in his last game and a half. I was like, this is a guy who came to school last year known as a defensive stopper, right? Like he was not anybody that was going to be some deep threat, at least not consistently. And now here he is. And then David went on to say, with his like library of Baylor basketball knowledge, he said, that happens often in the second year under Scott Drew for a lot of these transfers, right? I mean, you guys, I guess, know that, but I wasn't aware. He said, and we're seeing that already. I was going to
say, who the biggest one was, and specifically looking at that play type and that position is Davion Mitchell. So Mitchell's first year was 1920, which was the year that Baylor went to elite status. They were 26-4 before the tournament was called off. And he was the starting point guard from day one, but he did not shoot. Like no one would guard him out on the perimeter as a shooter. You couldn't do it. And he was still a pretty good point guard and obviously a great defender. And then the next year he shows some offensive prowess. And from the beginning of March on, he's their best player and he's unguardable. Like he's taking guys off the dribble. He's hitting 45% from 3 the last month of the season, and becomes a top 10 pick. Like as a guy who was not a shooter the year before. It was incredible. We just saw it with Jalen Bridges too. I know you watched all of Jalen Bridges here at Baylor, Pete. He was a guy who kind of was trying to figure out his role like the first half of his first season. That's who David Kay compared him to. And then he becomes this lights out shooter, and clearly Scott's telling him like that's what you are. You can score inside out. And last year, I thought most of the season he was their best player, Jalen Bridges. But if none can become half of what Davion Mitchell gave him in 2021, that's a guy who is going to be an all Big 12 player. Yeah.
And then speaking to, the culture we were talking about, like, and those guys afterwards laughing and joking,
good point by DK.
Yeah. I had never met, obviously Celestine, right? But he was the guy who we got last night. And like, look, man, like I said, there was a lot going on. I was trying to manage breaks and figuring out, I don't want to throw to a break and then have a player come over and ready to be interviewed, nor do I want to have to do that with Scott Drew. So I'm like kind of staying on the air. Yeah. So Coach Drew comes out of the locker room and he walks over to J-Mo, all the way over to J-Mo. And J-Mo is like, no, you're over there with Pete. So then Coach Drew looks at me Yeah. So then Coach Drew, who like again kind of knows me, comes over and I wave him over and he sits down and he's looking at the box score and he's talking about V.J. and he's talking about how much of a winner he is, and then he kind of lightens up and continues to go through, and then Jalen comes over to the scores table and Coach Drew was like, "Hey, he could have had a couple more rebounds." He's giving him a hard time, but then Jalen sits down, and at this point, just by human being and human nature, I'm kind of nervous. I've never met him. Players, you have no clue what you're going to get. This guy could say one word. He could be pissed about being there. So many times as a PR person, you bring guys over for a post-game interview. It was like you were asking for a kidney.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the guy was happy to be there to the point where I'm like,
Jalen's phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea.
We had him on the Mosley show.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Great.
I mean, I'm like, this guy would do this all day.
And by the way, this is not to pile on. He did not have a good game.
Yeah.
When everyone else did. Right. And you could see him like kind of the shot. It's not going in yet. He was a 45% 3-point shooter.
I told him that. I was like, you're 45%. Like that.
It's gonna drop. And you saw it. I mean, he's taking good shots. He had open shots against Arkansas. It's been a that's the culture, man.
Yeah.
There's culture to that.
Scotty, go ahead.
Canadian guy.
I shared something I learned in the off, and you guys might know this. I don't know if basketball team reviews bench film.
I had heard that. Yes. Yeah.
So they have game film.
Good bench film.
They have game film. And players be disciplined or whatever based on their conduct on the bench, including how they treat teammates all the way to the end of the bench before they come back and take their seat. If you're pouty, I mean, they like Scott Drew have fun together and they're laughing in the post game. Dude, that culture, that's a 2-decade culture.
Yeah.
That includes like, hey, we have a very high standard for you when you are on the bench. It doesn't matter how many minutes you play. I told that to a buddy of mine last night who's a veteran, and he was like, yeah, that's like the military. Like if you're out there, there's a standard, and if you don't meet the standard, it's a problem. And for Scott, I think half of his standards are character things.
Yeah.
Aranda got roasted a couple years ago for saying like person over player, because we weren't winning many football games, but Drew gets these like killer players.
Well, who
are also wonderful people.
That's a whole nother debate. And I totally agree with you. I almost think you can't do it in football because there's too many guys. Like overwhelmingly,
totally
Baylor has it overwhelmingly. I'll say too, Jason Asamoah hits that 3.
Boston guy.
Lynn Mass.
Yep.
Is he like truly a Boston guy?
I mean, Lynn is,
but is he from like another country or no? He's Boston.
No, I think he's Lynn through and through.
How much you love that?
But he played high school, obviously elsewhere. But I love that, man. We don't get many.
Yeah. So he hits a 3 last night off the bench. You could tell. I mean, Jeremy Roach was like, he was on the bench, but he was like out on the free throw line. He was so excited. Like the whole team just exploded, and you do kind of feel that. All right, Cam, let's do one more thing.
He wears number 5 for Terrence Clark, by the way.
What'd you say?
He wears number 5 for Terrence Clark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you remember him, the kid from Kentucky, Boston kid?
Yeah, he got killed.
Yeah, killed right before the draft.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, I did not know that.
That's a guy. Yeah.
Cameron. Wow, that's
what
good.
else would I be here for? What else would I be here for, Pete?
That's really good.
Oh,
Cam.
If we got the bonsai, would have been insufferable. Insufferable.
All right. Anything else from last night's game? Behind the scenes, anything? That was your first game as a media member.
Yeah.
Last night, credentialed at the game. You were upset about the hot dogs. You said that. Here's the difference between you. Whereas I got a chuckle about it after the game when I was leaving. Cam, you were kind of
I was not that serious about it.
No, you were.
No, I was not. I thought it was kind of funny.
Mosley gets upset though.
Sometimes, yeah.
See, Mosley, and let me tell you something.
And trust me, it's not Mosley. Most of the media members do love.
Yeah, can I tell you why? And I love these guys because they cover the sports and the sports, but they cover these teams as beat writers and even columnists. I love, but these dyed in the wool sports guys need to get over it, dude, with the free rides with the food. All right. And because I worked in media relations and public relations for a long time. Like, guys bitching about the food is like, you really are like I'm
finding
nervous.
Something.
Yeah, I'm trying to like do all this crap that like is tough for me, and I'm stressed. And then I got a guy bitching about the Bojangles in the media room and asking why it's no longer catered. It's like, dude, like, get over it. It's free. It's free shit. Like, but the media was spoiled back in the day. And I mean, think about it this way, dude. I was listening to this Vern Lundquist book that I'm almost done now. And when Vern was covering the Cowboys as like just a dude, you know, he was working for WFAA. They would take him and other members of the media on a charter to a game. I mean, wide open booze on the plane.
That's
you know, you get there, you're drinking, and like that was the norm. You know, and that was treating the media was like super important. Like when I worked for the Hornets or for the Bobcats, there was this thing that you used to do, and this is before. I mean, we used to do so much great stuff for the media. It was before really like the internet. Sorry, but like it was 2004, so there was a ton of internet stuff, but we weren't as digital with like papers and stuff. So like you would drop off packets for everybody. Like when the Knicks played the Hornets, there'd be like 7 different writers. So Pete would have to borrow a car, because I didn't have a car at the time, and drive to all these different hotels and drop off these packets. And if somebody didn't get their packet, dude, look out. I mean, it was a whole deal. Yeah. Like Frank, my boss Scott Lively, like Frank, I saw he hasn't gotten his packet. I'd be like, dude, you said he was staying at the Omni by the arena. He'd be like, no, he's not there. He's downtown. He switched. I told you that. I'd be like, oh. Fucking hell. I'd be like, anyway, should I make him a new packet? I don't think so. You just go get the old one. It's there. I'm like, oh my God.
Anyway, you asked one more thing about the game, and I'll give you the one more thing about the game.
Yeah.
The students, electric.
An hour and a half before the game, when I was talking to you and Mosley on the phone, they were lining up.
This is the next thing I'm going to say is going to sound like complete hearsay. But right now, Baylor has the team, the arena, and the students to have an atmosphere like Duke does, but they don't have the rest of the crowd.
Correct.
And I get it. Sam Houston, Tuesday night. You're not going to punch the place out as Baylor. But teams do that. Duke does that. Kansas, different scenario. They do that. Villanova did that, every night. And Baylor's got 3 of the 4 things right now.
I know. So how do we do that?
And I thought they did the game day atmosphere. I thought they were great with
how do we turn those games into events?
That's what I'm trying to really figure out. And I think there's some proactive things Baylor can do in terms of like getting people from the community to come, because the complaint all the time is that Baylor's alums are in Dallas, Houston, Austin, a couple hours away. They don't want to come on a Tuesday night.
What do you think the folks that go to Lawrence are located?
I know. I've used that argument that not all the Dukies live in Durham. Trust me. Most of them wouldn't be caught dead living in parts of Durham. Okay. Ames. How many of them live in Ames, Iowa? And that place is packed to the hilt. No pun intended. And to your point, they're not all living in Lawrence. Kansas City's not that far away. But
no.
That's the next step for Baylor. And Tech has some people living in Lubbock, but they've got a fan base there of people that didn't necessarily go to Tech. And so they can punch that place out. Baylor has to figure that out. And so do Baylor alums. That's the question. How does it become an event? Because I was pleasantly surprised to see how great an atmosphere the students made it last night.
It was really cool.
Throwaway game. And I hope they do it again against Tarleton. Second game of the year. Are you going to show out then? It's a Sunday night. I think they will. And I put this in my notes. I'm sorry, we're going way over time here.
Right.
But 5 minutes into the game, they went up 15-5. Jeremy Roach had just hit a 3. Sam Houston timeout. The place is going nuts. And it's immediate timeout. And right away, right as that timeout gets called, the lights lower and they start doing the kill, like right away. And I'm like, they nailed that. it's not like football games where you have a big pick and the place is going nuts. Media timeout. Here's our charity champion for life. Like none of that.
Yeah.
Not even the Matson financial putt, which people love, which they got. I know you got to do those throughout the game, but it was a big moment and they leaned right into it. And so they're so close. They are so close. My sincere hope is I'm coming back in 5 years. There's another Final Four national championship banner up there, and it feels like going to Cameron Indoor. I don't know if they're going to be camping out in Drewville, but they have an opportunity to become an elite game day college basketball. This is what the sport is all about kind of atmosphere. They're very close.
Should have saved that take for your show. All right. That's pretty damn
I did
good.
a little bit on Locked On.
All right. Cameron Stewart.
I something I really believe in, man. I love college basketball, and I love college basketball schools and environments. And Baylor, amazingly, is that close. Because even when I graduated, they were nowhere near that. And they're that close with this building.
I love it. All right. Cam Stewart. Catch him this afternoon. ESPN Central Texas with Matt Mosley and, of course, Locked On and the Cam Show here on the Rogue Media Network.